Hey Cancer, it's Nicole from Outer Inner Space, and in this video we're going to be talking about your chart ruler and some of the qualities of your chart ruler. Because the way I see it is, because your ascendant sign sets up all of your house placements in your natal chart, when you tune into the qualities of your chart ruler, which is like the lens through which you see the world, you can come back to what I see as this baseline frequency. And when you tune into the qualities of your baseline frequency, then you can find more equilibrium and harmony, and all of the external stimuli, which is influencing your emotional and energetic state, can kind of fall away because you're kind of tuning into something that's more central and harmonic for you. I kind of see it like a main spirit guide, the one who knows how to get you back on track. So I'll present some ideas in this video, and the intention is that you can use these ideas and extrapolate on them in your own time to get to know yourself a bit better, get to know your chart a bit better, and hopefully get to know your energy better as well. Because we're very multi-dimensional beings, like the different placements in your chart, the different planets and aspects also have their own vibrational frequency. So this is just one aspect I'm talking about here, and I kind of see it as like this undercurrent, but a very important one. And when you tune into these qualities, it gives you an idea about timing and about pacing and basic essential needs for you as an energetic being. So for you guys, the moon is your chart ruler as a Cancer Ascendant. So the first thing I would say would be to look to where the moon is in your natal chart, because that's going to add an extra layer to the story. So the sign that the moon is in and the house, and then in your own time, once you've digested some of these ideas, then you can bring in those qualities and add an extra level to the story. So as a moon ruled person, it's all about the subtle senses. It's all about the intuitive hits, the unspoken, the resonance that you feel. I'll link a video below that I saw one time, and it's kind of a little bit conspiracy theory, but the content in it really rang a bell, so to speak, which is funny when you watch it. But basically it's like this clip of a space shuttle thing where a bunch of years ago they dropped this something on the moon from a space shuttle, and then it says that the moon like rang like a bell for hours, indicating the potential that it's hollow. Now I don't know if that's true or if I can believe this clip, but what did ring true to me was that because a lot of people think of the moon and feeling as emotion, it is in one regard, but in another way it's actually resonance. So the ringing of a bell and that frequency that happens when you ring a bell, like it reverberates. And when I think about a moon ruled person, is that resonance effect, because it's a very intuitive, very unspoken energy, but it's like the field, the waves in the field that you're picking up on. So as a moon ruled person, you are very sensitive to the energy of others, and you can tune into what's happening around you, reading between the lines basically. And how this can influence you is that typically we're not really taught to A, acknowledge these feelings, B, tune into these feelings, and C, trust these feelings. So the practice for a moon ruled person is to create space for yourself and create space in your psyche to consider that resonance, the subtle senses, as a really valid form of information that's communicating with you in the same way that your mind, your logic is communicating with you. And it takes practice to cultivate the trust with those senses. And it's something that it's like a reparenting thing. You kind of have to, give yourself time and space to work with this kind of thing. Because you can see and sense things that others can't. Like this is all happening at an unspoken, unseen level. Like there's a really big trust factor that comes with your intuitive faculties. But they can be developed and they're super strong as a moon ruled person, but it is about creating space that you can start to let those details come in and not overruling them or seeking validation from others to prove that they're true. Like, it's something that you feel on a resonance level from the center of you, from your own central nervous system, in a way. Like, it's communicating with you in vibration. So you're very sensitive to the waves of emotion from others and your own. So it really is key for you guys to note that that's a really significant part of your energetic makeup, and allowing that factor to be tended to in your day-to-day. It's like a daily thing of acknowledging that that's a big part of who you are, and understanding that emotions and feelings and resonance is as valid as logic and mental structures. There are these ideas out there that the moon itself is actually multicolored, like it's got all these auroras and that kind of stuff circulating it, but because we're so far away, and perception of what we've seen in the media about the moon, and so much of it has been hidden, like you have to question a lot of the stuff that is told to us about space. But yeah, there's this idea that it is multicolored, but like from the level of perception of where we are, we see it as bright white, sometimes yellow, sometimes orange. But that perception detail is really important for you guys, because your perception is super unique, because you've got this luminary as like this huge factor influencing your energetic being. But again, like a lot of the things that we're taught is to not consider these details of perception, like the unseen, the subtle feelings that we get, our intuition. Like it's overruled, and not just overruled, but shamed in so many ways. So you kind of do need to work in an energy of faith, I guess, because you kind of have to build that verification within you and not be reliant on external sources, because there are people out there that want you to believe a certain thing, and often that will come in contrast to what you really feel, like what's true for you. But until you give yourself the time to tune into your own energy field and the resonance within you, you'll always be influenced by external stuff, because that strength hasn't been built. It's like building muscle, right? And the more you tend to it, the stronger it gets, and then the less influenced you are by external stimuli. As a moon-ruled person, it's really important to give yourself space to process and calibrate any feelings that you are getting. So if you are in a group dynamic which isn't really true for you, or has harsh energy, taking the time to flush that out, whether that be through grounding practices, simply being in an environment like your home, which is sacred. Like when you think of fourth house energy, that's very private and personal, and it needs to be uninfluenced by external people. Like you need to build that fourth house home energy within your own energy field, and carry it with you wherever you are. And as you do that, it's like your aura gets strengthened, and then you're less susceptible to the waves that are coming in from outside of you that are harmful to your truth. And that's a practice. So it's like setting up time alone when you need it on a regular basis. But a lot of the things that you feel aren't necessarily yours. You're just very sensitive to that in other people. Just naturally, as you walk down the street, you can pick up on vibes from other people, and that's that resonance piece again. So creating the space around you that, that's just a part of your life, but it's a basic practice of energy management that is worth cultivating to ensure that, you don't get caught up in stuff from other people. Because when you do that, you experience all these conflicting ideas, this confusion and illusion about where you should go or what you should do, when if you are in a process of, cleaning your energy and flushing out extra stuff, then it doesn't stay with you too long. It doesn't have to be something that you take on and absorb, and it starts living within you. Also, as a moon-ruled person, it's really important to give yourself room not to be consistent day in, day out. Like when you think of the cycles of the moon and how it goes from the new moon to the full moon to the new moon again, these are like, if you think about a graph, say if you see the moon as like a graph, that's kind of like the energy availability in a sense. So it's when you kind of use that as an overlay to your life, you can start to see that there's going to be a time for everything that you ever wanted to do, but it's about working with the cycles and not against it, and definitely not with any social constructs of timing or where you should be at a certain time or what you should achieve at a certain time, or the idea of Monday to Friday really won't work for you guys because you're on like this lunar timeline. So when you can kind of use that as an overlay to your operating system, to your creative work, to your regular work, or just your level of self-care, you create that sense of equilibrium and you recalibrate that your own energy field, and that baseline frequency becomes strengthened and more pure in a sense. And also the idea that, you know, success is like you're constantly progressing up, 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 up. That's really not how a moon ruled person's going to work. It's like in this diagram I have, like you're working in spirals, and it's multi-layered spirals, and there are always going to be these waves of energy. Just because we are socialized beings, there are always going to be these waves of energy around you, but it really is important for you guys to tend to your own energy and do your energy management practices so that you're less influenced by external stuff. And that means like learning how to create boundaries for your own space, for your own timing, saying no to pressure from outside people to hurry your process, because you just don't work on a timeline like that. It's also worth taking note of where the moon is transiting in the signs and applying that to your own natal chart as well, because that'll show like the areas of life which are going to be more predominant for you. So say the moon's transiting your 6th house, then that's a good time to consider things like body care, body purification, fasting, cleansing, also cutting out daily habits, or it'll just bring light to those areas of life. And when you consider that on a broader scope as well, like say you have new moon in the 6th house, then that's a good time to start a new daily routine. Or when you think of 6th house as Virgo, is like cutting out what is extra and refining a process. So, and that's like a yearly thing. There's always going to be a new moon in your 6th house per year, you know what I mean? So it's like looking at the cycles, because this is all about cycles, your timing basically. Because how I see it is like people are these clusters of energy, right? I am a cluster of energy, and my natal chart, it reflects that in, that's not the only way, but it's one really effective way. And so my energetic frequency cluster vibration that I'm giving off is going to be very different to yours. And so when you see it like that, then all level of comparison or all level of like keeping up to this social construct of where you should be, how quickly you should move, what you should have achieved by a certain time in your life, it becomes completely redundant, because that's set up as like this whole like social constructs are set up as this umbrella thing, which is a cause of like such confusion and discord, because everybody is so unique and individual that trying to fit into that, it causes confusion and again discord in your energetic field. And that's why so many people have anxiety and have depression, because we don't fit in. But fit into what? Like it's not real. So when you come back to your own baseline frequency and then all the other placements that you have, and tuning into those frequencies, and they're going to be different in different times, like they're going to be activated by transits and just the cosmic conditions basically, and just your overall life plan, then you know you just give yourself the headspace to operate in a way that's true for you. And then when you do the work, when you like create things, when you express things, how you are in relationships, how you are with yourself, how you talk to yourself, it's so much more authentic and so much more effective, and you become a more potent being when you tend to yourself in that way. And you also give others the space to be themselves, and then we create this amazing thing because everybody has their unique gifts. But when we're trying to fit certain energies into these predetermined roles, then it causes trouble basically, and sadness and so much confusion. So it does come back to taking the responsibility upon yourself to learn your energy field and your energetic components, whether that's through learning your natal chart or other typing systems, like human design or whatever works for you. And it comes back to that resonance thing. Like, some things aren't going to resonate with you, but when you do apply what does resonate to you, and you don't seek, like, say you have a feeling about a certain thing, like say this video, for example, is really resonating with you, but then you go to show it to someone else who, say, is ruled by Mercury, they're going to be like, well, they potentially could be like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. But that's the issue here, is that is like seeking outside of yourself for what's true for you is never ever going to work, because they're vibrating in another field, and they have different purpose here, and they have different perspective, and their perception is specific to them for the role that they're here to play. So tuning into the energies of your own natal moon when you feel ungrounded is really great practice to implement. So depending on the house that it's in, so say your moon is in the first house like mine is, doing body work is like a wonderful thing that you can do. I'm a huge advocate for that, because how I see it is that when we're young and we don't know how to process emotions, and for you, processing your emotions is a massive thing. They get stored in different areas of the body. So doing stuff like massage, or seeing a very aware osteopath or chiropractor or an acupuncturist can really help diffuse the clusters of energy that are the patterns of trauma or of pain that get stored in the body. That could be the same for a 6th house moon. A 3rd house moon could be brainwave variability practices, so coming out of high stress, which is high beta, and into slower waves like alpha waves through creative expression, these kinds of things. So it does take time to see what's true for you, but I find that the more you look at your chart and your placement, do some research, but then just feel into it, and the more you look at it, the more things appear, the more comes up, the more you learn astrology, the more it speaks to you. So your natal moon can really help. And basically, just when you think about Cancer energy and the 4th house, that again is like a very private and personal energy. So doing practices like taking yourself into your own energy field in a private environment where you're not going to be influenced by anyone telling you anything, by noise or external stimuli, other people, that kind of thing. And just being in your own energy field, sitting cross-legged on the ground, being in nature is ideal, or being by the ocean is extra special for a Cancer Ascendant, because the moon rules the tide, or any body of water really. And just feeling the energy that you're giving off, like the vibes that you're giving off, and creating space for whatever that may be. So if you've had an argument with someone and that kind of energy is like making you feel static, create space for that and let that energy flow, because it's when we suppress it that it causes the problem. Like when we kind of like make something that is a significant deal, something that has affected us significantly, but we pretend that it hasn't, then that's when things become unconscious and become problematic and triggers down the road. So it's about creating that space within you to let yourself feel what you feel, and absolutely applying no shame to it, however socially reprimanded certain energies are, anger, rage, like whatever it is, jealousy. Just let that vibe exist and let it flow, and do breath work to clear it out. It can be a really healing practice for a moon ruled person. And when you do that, you learn your energy field and you're attending to it, and then you'll be able to recognize what's yours and what isn't, and then you're kind of purifying your aura by doing those practices regularly and letting your energy expand. Because the thing is, our subtle senses and our intuitive faculties, more often than not, the feelings we have, if we go out and try to tell someone that we're feeling a certain way, and then we, not to say that anyone's like trying to cancel them out or anything, but you know, they might have good intentions to like help you calm down or something, but oftentimes people will be like, oh no, like that's not what's happened. And then you kind of like, oh, okay, so I can't really trust my intuition here. But the thing is about knowing what's true for you. But when you create the space, then it's like applying a level of curiosity to what you're feeling. And then in time, you can make those inferences for yourself. But oftentimes when we kind of seek out verification from our friendship groups from what we feel, or from our family of what we feel, their best intentions can be, again, it's like perception. They're seeing things completely different. And in our society, our intuitive faculties aren't really considered as valid. And it really is about taking it upon yourself to nurture them, and then you can trust them in time more and more. So with that as well, is like when you have a hunch about something, like an intuitive hunch, it's kind of, if you can, and if it's not damaging to you, try to keep it to yourself without seeking that verification from others, unless it's, you know, like a very aware professional that you trust kind of thing that can help with perspective. Because for you guys as a moon ruled person, you can see so much that others can't see. And if other people are saying that it's not there, then you kind of are like, oh, okay, so I must be wrong. You know what I mean? So create that space around you and just let things play in a sense. And then you'll see eventually the truth. Like it all comes out in the end. And in that same regard, it's really important to honor your moods and your feelings, and just putting yourself in your own energy if you feel like you can't offer anyone anything. It is about just processing all that energy in your own time and in your own way. And like I said before about being near bodies of water, like when you think about the ocean and how every time you go there, it's in a different expression. Like sometimes it's choppy, sometimes it's perfectly clear and flat. Sometimes there are 2-foot waves, sometimes there are clean sets. Understanding that your emotional nature is like that, and every day is going to be completely different. So it's like creating this bigger field around you where you're not shrunken and small because you shouldn't feel this or you should feel that. Like you shouldn't feel angry, you should be positive. Like that's completely unrealistic for a moon ruled person. So creating space and holding space for everything that you feel, and then doing that practice of like, what's yours, what isn't, what's actually in resonance with me. And that's when your intuitive faculties will like start talking to you and telling you how to deal with situations in a more effective way. And also infusing yourself with the moon's light. So when the moon's full, or anytime really, just like putting your face to the moon and feeling the light on your third eye can help open up your intuitive abilities as well. And you can transmute energy through being in nature. If you're spinning, letting energy come out through your bare feet and into the ground, and feeling charged up in the same way, like imagining your energy field sort of circulating in that way, it can be really healing for you. And just a side note, if you're a woman, I've created this really great interactive content library called Periods, Brainwaves and Astrology, which is all about tuning to your natural cycles and the interconnectedness of periods, brainwaves and astrology. So there's a link below and you can check out a few sections of it for free to see if it's for you. So Cancer Ascendant, I'm going to leave this here. There's a lot more I could say, but there is more information on my website all about energy healing and self-healing, and you can connect with me there too. I have Patreon, so I do fortnightly healing notes, and I hope you found some value in this, Cancer Ascendant. And if you bring nothing else from this, I hope that you just cultivate a practice of tending to your energy field, because you're a really potent, magical being. You've got this incredible perception, and I know that so far in life that you may have felt like confused in a sense because you have all this ability to see things that others can't see. But I really do believe that that's changing, and your gifts are going to be so important for where we're going as a collective. So tend to your energy and know that your gifts are really important. Thanks, Cancer. Bye.